Year 3. The forbidden year. The year that we don't talk about. The day we don't discuss. This is the worst year of the relationship. You're in for a treat, let me tell you. And so basically, the year starts off with every other year, right? Obviously, it starts with the anniversary. Everything is fine. Everything is dandy, right? Everything is working out just fine at the anniversary, right? Everything's fine. At this rate, she's living in Georgia, right? Everything's going fine with the anniversary. Everything's going great, right? Now, what ends up happening is the weekend of Black Panther's release. Now, I remember this because I ended up hanging out with my friend Dallas during this time. What ended up happening was me and Dallas went to go and watch Black Panther. During this time, my girlfriend was acting very suspicious, very distant. I didn't understand why. She wasn't telling me. We went to go see Black Panther, and my boy Dallas, left the next day, right? Well, the day that he left, I get a call from my girlfriend. And she ends up breaking up with me. She breaks up with me for no reason whatsoever, right? No reason, right? And so while she breaks up with me, I'm like, why are you breaking up? What's the reason? Now, this is a very famous trend in the fucking relationship. This bitch never talked about her fucking problems, one. And two, she never, ever gave reasons for why she broke up with me. Ever. That should have been a red flag from the get-go, but, whatever. And so what ended up happening was that after she broke up with me on the phone, right, we're both kind of emotional or whatever, and I'm like, you do realize that you're not giving me a reason, right? And I can hear, her godmother walk into the room, right? She walks into the room and she's like, he's not accepting that we're breaking up or whatever, something like that. And it's like, yeah, I don't think anyone would if you're not giving them a fucking reason. Like, I understand if you give me a reason, fine, maybe. But, you're just saying, I'm breaking up with you. You're not telling me why, right? You want to talk about fucking closure, motherfucker. Tell me the reason. Shit. And so what ended up happening was that after this incident, right, we didn't really talk that much for another week, right? We didn't talk much. We actually talked near to nothing, right? And so what ended up happening was we didn't talk about anything. I was really messed up mentally after that, right? I was not doing so hot. And so I would message her maybe once every, I messaged her for a week, once every day. It didn't work out. And then so I changed it up to I'll message her twice a week, right? That didn't work. Eventually when March came around, right? When March came around, this is the fabled month. When March came around, I messaged her again. And she accepted the messages, right? And so we started talking or whatever, right? And everything was going fine and whatever, right? But then I started noticing she was a bit bitchier, right? She was a bit bitchier. She was a bit more distant. And she started treating me like garbage. She started, making me feel bad for my insecurities, for my eating habits or whatnot. For instance, she was starting to say that she thinks that I'm unattractive, shirtless or whatever. She started saying that, and this was something really messed up. She said, hey, I always imagined that whenever I got older, that I would cook dinner for my husband when he was coming home from work. But since you have an eating disorder, I obviously can't do that for you. So you're obviously not the one for me. One, that's fucked up. Two, you're making fun of my eating disorder? Something I can't control? Fuck out of here, bitch. And so that's one thing she did, right? She fed on my insecurities, made me feel like shit. This put me into a huge depression to the point where I basically needed help because I was missing so many meals. I was getting so skinny. I went from 140 pounds to about 90-ish pounds. She was talking a bunch of shit. She was trash. She was basically just making me feel like shit constantly. And it was the point where I was so depressed. Now, there's a couple of things that happened during this time that really upset me. For instance, one, she ended up sleeping over at a dude's house. Now, she kept trying to say, oh, hey, there's no romantic interest here. He's fine. I'm fine. Everything's good. Still to this day, I don't believe that bullshit. Because I guarantee you that if I would have said I'm sleeping over at a female's house, hell would have broken loose. But no, it's fine for her to sleep over at a dude's house. Okay, whatever. Right, now you guys might be saying, but you guys were separated. There's a little detail that actually makes this very murky, and I'm going to get to that later. Now, eventually April pulls around. I think it was at the end of March or the beginning of April, right? I'm still super depressed, super in the feels, and cause she's just continuously trash talking me, making me feel like garbage or whatever. For instance, she also said this one thing. I ended up saying hey, I'm just, she said, what do you want from me? And I'm like, I don't want anything for you. All I want is to see if there's something that can be done to fix this problem. Because you're not telling me why we broke up. I'm trying to fix this because you're not telling me anything. If it's not fixable, then tell me. But if it is, I want to fix it, right? And I was also because I don't want to lose you to someone else, right? And she said, literally, I'm not joking, I can't help it if I have a bunch of people that want to be with me and I might want to be with them. What kind of bitch are you? And so basically, right, as time transpires, eventually we get too close to her prom, right? Now me, I didn't care too much about my prom, but I also kind of wanted to go just for the experience, but I didn't go because in my mind I was thinking like, oh, it would be wrong to go with anyone else that isn't her, right? And I could have gone with other people because other people did want to go to the prom with me. I just, closed that all down in the sake of trying to protect apparently what we had, quote unquote. And so what ended up happening is that she didn't care about what we had and went to the prom with some other dude, right? And it was like, I was like, really? Really? Now, we're gonna get to this whole prom situation in more detail later, trust me. This is later, trust me. Eventually what ends up happening is we go to grad bash. Now, for those that don't know what grad bash is, it's basically where your high school is like, yo, you're a senior, that's so litty to my titty. You pay a fee, and we'll take you to a theme park after hours so that the theme park's only open for you guys. And so I'm like, okay, that's pretty hype. That's way better than anything the prom can offer. That's fucking cool. You can never get an experience like that ever again. And so I went to, grad bash. Coincidentally enough, for some reason, her Georgia school decided to go at the same time my Florida school went. I don't get why, but whatever. And we ended up spending a lot of time during this time, and we ended up getting back together. Horrible mistake on my end. And so eventually, fast forward to when I ended up graduating, right? She ends up showing up to my graduation because my dad said, I'll go pick her up so she can come down to the graduation, right? She comes to my graduation, everything's chill, everything's fine, right? Now, what ended up happening was that my dad, when we started taking her back up to Georgia, ends up bringing up the concept of breaking up and breaks. I don't know why. I think he was going through some kind of relationship trouble at the time. So he brought up like relationship breakups and breaks, right? Now, this is when she decided to step in and talk. Mary, my ex, decided to say this to my dad when he brought up, breakups and breaks. Oh yeah, breaks! Yeah, me and Matt just actually got out of a break recently. What? And he literally, looks at me and he's like, oh, I could never go back to dating someone if they put me on a break. That's basically a breakup, just saying that I'm gonna come back to you. But here's the thing. It was never, ever said that it was a break. It was never said. And for those that don't know what a break is, basically it means you're single. And if you can't find anything that interests you enough in the rest of the world, then you'll come back to the person that you were in a relationship with. That's what a break basically is. And so she never told me it was a break. It was always established as a breakup. And all my friends that asked her about this all heard breakup. So she switched it up to break. Now this is where stuff gets interesting, right? Because this is where I can consider her being a cheating whore. So I eventually end up, we drop her off and whatnot, and eventually by the end of May, I bring up this topic about the break again, right? And I'm like, hey, what the hell is going on about this break thing, right? And she explains to me that it was always intended to be a break. All she needed was space so she could clear her head and think about things, right? She never established this. She never said, hey, this is what it is. She never said that. Never, ever, ever, right? And so I'm just sitting here like, you realize you never said this, right? Like, this was never established. And she's like, oh, this was always intended. Motherfucker, no the fuck it wasn't, right? So I ended up getting pretty pissy. I'm like, then you realize you've cheated on me, right? And she's like, how have I cheated on you? And I said, you went with someone else to prom, right? You went with someone else that's a dude to prom. And she's like, how is that cheating? I'm like, okay, let me ask you something. If I went to prom with a female, right? Just a female, right? Would it be considered cheating? And I'm not exaggerating when she says, yes, it would be considered cheating, but how did I cheat? Motherfucker, you want to talk about double standards? What the fuck? And so when I realized that she was considering this whole incident, this whole time period, as a break instead of a break up, I was like, this bitch. So in this time that she's in a break, technically a break still means you're with them, but at the same time you're single. It's weird. It's stupid. I hate breaks. So you're telling me that during this time when you realize, hey, I'm probably going to get back with Matt, you thought it would be acceptable to sleep over at a dude's house, to treat me like garbage and make me feel shit about my insecurities to the point where I'm so depressed that I'm literally starving because I can't eat. My stomach just literally wouldn't make me eat. And then you also went to prom with another dude? And somehow you're still the victim? What the fuck? And so I wasn't a fan of that. I just really wasn't, right? And so eventually, as time progressed or whatever, right, she started talking about how she still has her needs. She still has her wants, her desires, or whatever, right? We're dating, right? And she talks about how, I'm not joking. I am not joking. She talks about how she needs, to feel, my touch. She needs to feel the whole shebang, you feel me? She's talking about how she can't really go on without that, right? And she starts, mentioning that every now and then. It's like, okay, kind of random, but alright. So eventually she ends up moving to North Carolina, right? When she moves to North Carolina, she changes a whole lot more. Like, I'm talking about, she just does a whole 180, right? She changes, she becomes more, rebellious. She ends up becoming a literal thief. Like, she legit steals things from stores, returns them to other stores to make a profit off of them. Yes, she did do that. And she would do that a lot. And I would even say, you do realize that's illegal and you could get in trouble. And she actually did get banned from game stores because she was doing it! And so, she would be she was just changing so much when she moved to North Carolina, because I guess, I don't know if that was just her natural self that she never showed me in the 3 years we were together. Doubtful, but whatever. Or if she was just changing because of the new friends she had. I don't know, and I really don't care. And so, what ended up happening was that as time progressed, she kept saying that she had this overwhelming need to feel touched or to get the whole shebang, right? And so, one day, her mom ends up coming up to visit her, right? Her mom comes up from Florida to North Carolina to visit her, and then she's really distant during this time. And I literally ask her, hey, look, I understand your mom is there, and that's fine or whatever. All I want is for you to please spare, if you can, 10 minutes out of your day just to text me or to call me. You can even split up throughout the day. I just want to talk to you even for a little bit, right? This woman, I'm not joking, said, I can't even spare 5. And so that was a red flag really quick, right? And so she starts, talking all this stuff or whatever, and when her mom is there, she's acting very distant or whatever, and very different. Now, what ended up happening was that after her mom left, she ends up literally, I'm not joking, she ends up breaking up with me through text. She doesn't call me, she doesn't tell me why, she just says, I don't feel like I'm in love with you anymore, I want to break up, right? And so I was like, wait, how can you just stop loving me from one day to the next? She didn't give a reason. And I'm like, wait, how does this make sense? And I'm like, because this doesn't make any sense. You just went from one day to the next saying you don't love me anymore? And she's like, yeah, that is true. And I'm like, that kind of sucks, because I still love you. And she's like, I only wish I could say the same thing back to you. What a bitch. And so after that, this was a breakup in November, right? And so I was like, I really didn't know how to feel about this. I was like, wow, I'm getting broken up with. Again, for literally no reason. And I still to this day do not know the reason. Do I care? Not really. The bitch can go fuck herself for all I care. And so, at first what I thought it was that I thought this was one of those break things, right? Where she breaks up and it's really a break, because she never said before it was a break. So I'm thinking it was that. So I gave her space and I said, look, hey, I'm just going to see if this relationship could be salvageable. And you know what? I'm going to give you space for 2 weeks, right? And we'll see if, you prefer to be single or if you prefer to be in a relationship when I come back, right? So eventually I come back, right? And she basically says, I feel happier when I'm single, right? Not gonna lie, that hurt, but she didn't explain why. And the thing is that me and a bunch of my friends just came to the conclusion there's another dude. And that's kind of what I came down to, because she's one of those people. So yeah, we kind of just all came to the conclusion that it was another dude. There was never anything confirmed or denied by it, and honestly, at that rate, I kind of just gave up, because at the time, I was actually dealing with kicking out someone from our group named Gavito, and he was being really disrespectful, right? He was being disrespectful in terms of a bunch of other shit, and he was just too out there, right? And I was thinking, why am I going to be disrespected by someone that I think is a bitch, and I'm going to kick him out? But I'm going to be but how am I going to allow, if I'm going to, okay, let me slow it down. How am I going to kick out someone that I think is being a bitch to me, right? And a bunch of other people. How am I going to kick him out of the group? But I'm not going to get him over my feelings of someone that I'm in love with, who's treating me like garbage. Almost identical to Gavito, actually worse than Gavito. But I'm going to still be there for them? Fuck out of here. So I got tired of it, and I said, fuck it, I'm done. I said, I'm done. I let the group say what they wanted to her, and they just berated her. They made fun of her like crazy. And I'm probably gonna put the screenshots of what they've said at the end of the fucking video, but I'm probably gonna like block it out except her name because I really don't care about her. And so yeah, this shit was funny as fuck. Like they went off on her, and after that, I never talked to her again. And honestly, I could see what she means by when she was saying that she's happier when she's single. Because let me tell you, not having that stress constantly bothering me, it feels really nice. I'm not gonna lie. So with that, guys, we're gonna do one video to close. Don't forget to like this video. Don't share this one video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to Unlockable Stories for more vlog type shit like this. And yeah, so with that, guys, we're gonna do one video to close. I'm KillZomZone, and I'm out for now. Peace.